So first of all, welcome to coming to this 28th annual wilderness and canoeing sort of gathering. We call it a symposium. It's been called everything from time to time, but we're calling it a symposium these days. The thing that I was thinking about today, boy, if we have 18, 19 speakers per year times 28 years, you're talking about 450 speakers you've had to deal with ever since we started. That's a lot. And I want to thank a lot of people, and I want to thank those that come because of your presence, your coming, that actually motivates the going, motivates the doing the next one, and so on. I also want to be sure there are a lot of people that have helped over the years, the school people, the school teachers, the technical people, in addition to the presenters, all of these people. Some of this is mentioned on page 8 of the program, and I'm not going to read out all the names because I know I will leave out some people, and I don't want to do that, but I would be sure to do that. So the other thing to realize is that next year, Alex Gusev, this fellow right here, who's always in your back taking pictures, will be running this event. I'll try to help if I can next year, but it's not a guarantee. I'm coming to that because the real thanking is showing up here and listening to this, not saying things or things like that. It's actions always speaking louder than words, in my view. The other thing you should realize, a number of people here in the audience, including 2 people who are speaking, we've been on canoe trips together. The speakers, Bill Pollock and John Martin, who are speaking tomorrow. But in addition, there have been other people. John Lentz is here. Deb and Andy Williams are here. We paddled with Linda, and I paddled with them. John Bland and Dick I'm going to mess up the names sometimes. They don't always come easy. Dick Irwin and John Bland sitting there. Sometimes I call him David Bland. He doesn't seem to mind. Thank you. Thank you, all of you. And I hope that you realize why doing this is worth it. It improves the quality of so many things that you see, that you experience, that you plan, and that you appreciate yourself. Now, one of the thoughts that came was I was thinking, well, you know, the quality of giving is like the quality of mercy. The quality of mercy, as you probably know, is William Shakespeare's famous statement. And I can remember I grew up in Montreal High School and getting a test once on Shakespeare, The Quality of Mercy. At the time, being so naive and simple, I didn't know what the hell they were really talking about. But since then, I've learned. And basically, the quality of mercy, it goes on, I'm just going to keep it, is twice blessed. It blesses him that gives and him that takes. And I feel the same way about these gatherings and so on. The giving of that is twice blessed. It really pleases me to be doing it, giving it, and you're here because I think that you feel likewise about hearing all the speakers we'll be hearing. Secondly, the other thing that I learned, I went to Mount Allison as an undergraduate, I was reading Albert Einstein for the physics, the relativity theory and some other things as a young student. But I started reading his essays, and there was a book called The World as I See It, series of essays by Albert Einstein. And then I just read a couple of sentences from this. He wrote, "How strange is the lot of us mortals. Each of us is here for a brief sojourn." See, here I was, late teenagers, realizing how all of us were born to die, basically, and that's life. That's the way it goes. And you have to sort of accept it. Then he says, "For what purpose, he knows not." Knowing is sort of the intellect, though he sometimes thinks he senses it. In other words, emotional sort of spirituality and so on. That's where you kind of sense why you're here. And all of these things sort of come together and sort of, I think, boil themselves up in the canoe trip, which I'll be talking about tomorrow evening. But so let me, well, actually, let me also read just a little bit. I'm not going to read very much. But one of the things I did back in 1993, I wrote an essay about why I thought this was worth it and what we're doing it and what it's all about and so on. And so I published it on page 14, 15 of your program this year. And I just read the last couple of sentences here. And I say, this annual symposium is a midwinter extension, a substitute or surrogate of that search for knowledge and sense of place. And it is meant to educate and to remind us how sacred, yet how fragile and endangered are the remaining natural wilderness areas and wilderness experiences in our northern Canadian habitat. And I sincerely believe that all of the speakers you'll be hearing, the next 18 that follow, you'll be hearing different versions, their personal versions, and it all adds, it all builds. So we thank all of them. Let me just finally, in saying, if you'll turn on the first map, Roger, how do I? See, I'm totally hopeless in modern technology. Once I was pretty good, but just wanted to say, the way it's sort of divided up into 6 groupings of presentations here, and 3 of them sort of focus on special parts of Canada, and then the other 3 kind of look at a more general. Now, this is actually an amazing thing that you're seeing, because up until less than 24 hours ago, it was just on my slide, and Roger here actually digitized a whole pile of them for me for tonight and for tomorrow. I've been meaning to do that for decades and never got around to it. I'm not sure there's going to be time. But if you'll notice that this evening we took an overall view of different issues to give us some larger sort of sense of what this is all about. And then tomorrow morning we start 3 talks that deal with, I gotta actually again figure out how to turn my, son of a gun, oh, here it is. No, it's all right. This is mine, it's not his. You lose some things that you thought you had for a while. Anyways, way back, these symposiums were focused on a different part of Canada. We would have a year we would talk about Labrador, another year northern Quebec, another year Keewatin, another area this and this. But that was an awful lot of work. So what we're doing nowadays is keeping them together, but looking at different things. So tomorrow morning we'll be looking at Ontario, and then we'll actually also be looking at Quebec and Labrador in this area. And then we'll go and look in the territories, Northwest Territories, the Barren Lands, and so on. And in between, we'll have, again, sort of a different perspective, not a geographic focus, but another sort of look at what we're doing and why we're doing it and what it's all about. So there you are. And I think, again, you have the program. We put a lot of effort in organizing, putting the names, having the bios. So I hope you realize I'm not going to spend much time introducing any of the speakers, because you can just briefly read it up here, what this person wanted us to tell you. And I don't have much to add to that, except that's it. So the next person is Mark. I have a hard time remembering names. Even my wife sometimes complains I don't get her name right. Mark, pardon? Oh yeah, actually, did you want to say that? You want me to say that? Yeah, I'm all right. All right. Alex is saying that there's 2 things to remember. One is to pick up your registration. They've done a lot of work preparing your meal tickets, your name, these little name tags, and so on. And tonight they're available. They were available in a hallway as you go downstairs. Tomorrow morning, they'll be in the little lobby right in the front here. So leave space for people to pick theirs up and do that. The second issue is parking. I know some of you brought cars along, and some of you are going to cause grief because the school won't like it, or the parking police won't like it, or you won't like it because you got a $30 fine for parking in the wrong place or something. So please try to do it right. So is there anything else, Alex? No. Okay, let's call Mark up and start with the really good stuff.